Welcome to the Pit Stop Pod, your Sunday half-hour pit stop for advice on health, fitness and well-being. Thanks for joining me again, Chris, on the Pit Stop Pod. So the other day was the most likely day that people would fail in their resolutions and they'd go back to their old habits. So I thought we'd have a little look at goal setting, achieving your fitness goals, and how to actually make the goals work for you. So as I was saying, lots of people fail at the first hurdle. So a couple of weeks in from the new year, setting their resolutions, and then they'll revert to their old habits, and that's either because they've set too big a goal, too small of a goal, or they've not set a goal at all. So I thought we'd spend a little bit of time about going round about goals today, how to set them. Hopefully you'll be able to set your own goals that are achievable, realistic, and help you smash some of them resolutions that you wanted to smash. The first step would be self-reflection. So reflect on your current fitness levels, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your accomplishments have been, what your areas for improvement are, and consider any barriers to that as well. So when you're thinking about barriers, it's how much time have you got, who's invested in this, are you actually invested in it, are you ready to make those changes? Think about writing these things down as well, so journaling just helps you to sort of mind map and see where you are actually in the sort of change curve, and if you're ready for that change as well. One thing that I like to do is a SWOT form, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. There's one on my LinkedIn, on my Linktree, sorry, so if that's something that you would like to complete, then head over to the Linktree and download that for free. It just helps me to write everything down and get it all out of my brain, because sometimes you can get bogged down with thinking about it too much and rehashing things in your brain. Step 2 would be to define and list your fitness goals. So there are lots of types of different fitness goals. There's losing weight, gaining muscle, being able to run further, toning up. So you just need to define what is specific about your fitness journey and what you want from your goals. It needs to be personal to you though. It needs to be personal, because I know that you want to lose weight, I know that you want to gain muscle or get hench, or you want to be able to run, but why do you want to do those things? What does losing weight mean to you? What does gaining muscle mean for you? So they're quite vague goals when you think about it. When you think about losing weight, or you think about getting stronger, what does that look like? So is there any potential things that you being stronger would help you to achieve, or you being slimmer would help you to achieve? Is it body confidence? Is it being able to get in certain clothing that you'd like to get into? Is it being stronger? Will that enable you to compete in an activity? Will that mean that will it help you for a particular goal? So are you a competition bodybuilder and want to increase the amount of weight that you're able to squat? does that strength then mean that you'll be able to do other things within your life? Will you be able to pick your child up or play with your child for longer, or if they're playing football, you'll be able to play football? You just need to make sure that when you're thinking about your goals, that you're thinking about what it actually means for you, so that goal is meaningful. The other reason why you want to make sure that you're defining your goals and making them meaningful to you is that if it's vague, you'll never know if you've achieved it. If it's, I want to lose weight, that could be tomorrow. It could be in 10 years time. There's no definite end point, no definite start point. There's no measurement around that. So that's why you need to define these goals. You need to think about a little bit more about why it's meaningful for you. I am a big believer in setting a big fuck off goal, or a BFG. So your BFG is usually something that you think is unobtainable right now. That's where you're headed. So your BFG is made up of smaller goals, so that you know that you're heading towards that. So you need to break it down into more manageable chunks. So how do you do that? Actually, before we move on, I want to say around your goals, if you don't know what your goals are, just list them all. So some people do bucket lists, or some people do impossible lists. So just list all of the things that you would like to achieve, and then prioritise them. So from 1 to 3, think about what your main goals are for I don't know, the next 6 months, the next 12 months, the next 5 years. Then pick the top 3, because they will be your most important goals that you actually want to achieve. The other reason for that is because you're more productive when you're focusing on a few things rather than multitasking. So if you only pick 3 things for the next 6 months or the next 12 months, you're more likely to achieve those if they're realistic and if you've really thought about them. You don't want to be splitting your time or your energy, so really think about these goals, think about what it means for you, define them, list them, prioritise them. Step 3 is to, have you heard of that term, don't work hard, work smart? So that's what we're going to do. So you're going to start to think about SMART goals. SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound. So specific means clearly define what you want to achieve. So if you're just putting, I want to lose weight, see, it's just bullshit in here. So there's nothing specific about that. So there's something along the lines of, think about, if it's, I want to lose weight, I want to lose how many stone in weight. What does that then mean? So losing weight, I'll be able to play with the children and reduce the feeling of being out of breath when I'm running. Measurable, so again, you want to set criteria to keep you on progress. So you're going to weigh yourself before I begin my new nutrition plan. I'll rate myself on a scale between 0 to 10 out of how out of breath when I'm running. So it just gives you something to go back to be able to measure where you are from where you began. Gives you a bit of a baseline. Achievable, so ensure the goal is realistic and within reach. Are you actually being real with yourself? You might want to run 100 miles in 6 weeks, but if you've never run before, you're lying to yourself. So maybe just set your sights a little bit lower. Have you got the time to be able to do it? So what does that mean for your week? Are you going to be able to put the workout sessions in to be able to do it? Again, this is where self-reflection comes in. So if you've done your SWOT analysis on your fitness goals, you'll be able to think about where your barriers are. So that could be a specific person in your life that you, if you are a parent, then thinking about what tasks you've got to do for your children. If you've got a spouse, what tasks is it that you're dependent on for the running of the family? If it's a partner, making them aware that you will actually be doing more in the gym, so you're setting that expectation that you won't be there on a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or a Monday, Wednesday, Friday for certain hours, so they don't expect you to be, because sometimes that change in dynamics can be a bit of a rocky patch for couples, because they don't expect their routines to change. And it's also about the amount of motivation and support that you might require off them as well. So yeah, just think about whether it's achievable, and think about what your barriers may be, because then that'll give you a bit of an indication as to whether you can actually achieve it or not. It needs to be relevant. So again, align your goal with your overall fitness aspirations. So does it align with your BFG? Is it going to take you a couple of steps closer to it? If not, why isn't it? Do you need to reprioritise? Are you focusing on the wrong things? And if it does, if it is taking you closer to your BFG and it is relevant, then you've nailed that bit. And again, it needs to be time bound, so establish a deadline for achieving the goal. So as I said, if it's running within a certain period, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, if it's longer than that, just give yourself an end date. What we tend to do is, if we don't give ourselves a deadline, or if we don't give ourselves barriers, it tends to go on and on and on and on. And you don't need that. You need to be able to say, I started here, I'm finishing here, and I'm moving on to something else after that. Is it short term, so is it 6 to 8 weeks? Is it 4 to 6 months, which is a mid-term goal? Or is it a long-term goal, which is 1 to 2 years, or even 5 years? Although your BFG should be part of your 5-year plan, or even your 10-year plan. But again, it only takes as long as you want it to take, so if you give yourself too much time, it's going to take that too much time. So just think about how long you're giving yourself. I think there's actually there is actually a rule or a formula in terms of how long it takes you to do something, which is why they come up with like the Pomodoro method of productivity, in terms of setting yourself like 20 minutes, because you'll only get done certain things within a certain time frame, because you're giving yourself that time. I can't remember what it's called though. I'll find out, I'll tell you in the next one. So now that you've got your SMART goals, you're just going to need to break some of that. So you're breaking your larger goals down into your smaller goals and more manageable tasks. So you've got your SMART goals, but now you need some what we call productivity tasks. So these are little more manageable things that you can do on the daily that lead to your ultimate goal. So your systems and habits are the things that are going to be able to keep you on track for your goals, and to keep it more to keep you on track basically, and being consistent with it, being accountable for it, and you creating the right environment for it as well. So your process tasks are, again, thinking about what gym days you're going out, what workouts you're doing on those specific days, what your eating habits like. So have you prepped your meals? Have you done your weekly shop for making sure that you've got those things in place? Is there any equipment that you're going to need? Have you got your gym membership? Have you prepped your gym bag? Are you going to do that the night before so that you can just grab it in the morning, ready to go, so you haven't got to think about it? Have you think about what times you're doing it and who with? So there's those little things that you need to think about, so that and they're only small things that are done during the day, so that it has a bigger impact on your overall goal and whether you're going to actually achieve it or not. One thing that I like to do is keeping a training log or a journal, and that's just keeping a diary of what days I've trained, what meals I've ate, and how I've done during those workouts. And then I also like to journal of an evening to make me realise what I'm grateful for in terms of whether I've been to the gym, whether I've achieved some of my goals, whether it's took me one step closer to my overall big goal. So now you've got your goals, you've got your process tasks. Step 5 now is putting all of those things into action. So doing the thing is actually doing the thing. It's not thinking about the thing, it's not writing about the thing, it's actually doing it. And this is where you're going to get the benefits from your goal setting, really. It won't mean, so doing all this won't mean anything if you're not going to put it into practice, but many people get fooled into thinking that doing the thinking and thinking about it and putting these things into place is actually doing something. But the workouts and the nutrition are the things that are going to get you steps closer to your fitness goals. So if you want to see the changes, you need to put the effort in. So just remember that changing habits is hard. It's really, really hard. And making lots of changes all at once is even more difficult. So remember that support helps. The habits that you're creating. So making the right environment, like I said, thinking about speaking to people around you that are close to you, making sure that they're aware that you're doing these certain things on certain days, so that there's not an expectation on you. Setting your own boundaries, so if people are encroaching on that time or telling you that you can't do certain things, you saying no and doing it anyway. Actually saying no and going to the gym or for a run, a ride, whatever it is that you're doing, is the biggest thing for self-care there is. So you setting that expectation and continuing with these things will actually improve your relationships and improve your life in general, really. So just remember that if you are creating these habits, we as humans rely on the systems that we put in place, so it makes it easier for us to stick to those habits. So if you are creating the right environment for it and you are prepping yourself for it, you're more than likely going to stick to it. And if it's realistic, sometimes people go gung-ho at New Year's resolutions and want to change the world in a day, but that's not how it happens. 1% of improvement a day is all that you can ask of yourself, really. So as long as you're heading in the right direction, if you're doing that over a longer time, that 1% will compound So in 365 days, you will have 365 days of 1% improvement, rather than going gung-ho for 10 days in January and then falling flat on your face for the rest of the year. If you are new to fitness and you are new to running, cycling, whatever it is that you're doing, just remember to take it easy on yourself. Make sure that you're try and pick something that is achievable for you and not changing all of it. So what a lot of people do is think, I'm going to change my diet, I'm going to change my running habits, and they try and change too much too soon. They either end up falling flat on the face, or they end up in a physio clinic because they've injured themselves because they're not used to it. So build yourself up slowly, pick something that you want to do, whether that's the activity or whether it's your nutrition, and then stack your habits alongside that. So say if it's keeping on top of your nutrition for the next 8 weeks, nail that, and then add in other things gradually. So if it's steps, or if it's activity, running, whatever it is, add it in slowly and gradually. So don't go for 30 minutes, an hour's run and think that you're going to be able to do that for 5 days. Do something like the Couch to 5K once you've embedded the nutrition that you want to, that was your original goal. That makes sense. I would always say it's easier to stack habits together as well. So when you're already doing one healthy habit, it's easier to put then another one next to it. So as I said, if you're eating, or if you're drinking glasses of water, then it's easier to then think, oh okay, well now I'll start eating more fruit, or now I'll start increasing my steps. It's easier to add those things in once you're doing something, because you're beginning to identify with that persona. I don't know whether you're into James Clear either, but his ideas of writing around habit stacking, that's where it comes from. So his book Atomic Habits is probably worth a read. Another thing would be just to remind you that your goals are individual to you, your fitness aspirations are individual to you. Some of the times you're going to need more flex. Some people need it to be more rigid, some people need it to be more flexible, just because of their personal circumstances. And what I think all people need to realise is that you need to also be kind to yourself. So even if you have a couple of days where you think, oh, I can't do this, that's fine. The overall grand scheme of this is that it's a lifestyle change. So you'll be doing this for forever and a day. It's just about you keeping on top of it. So one bad day isn't the end of any of it. It's just about how you react to that then, really, and how you can get back into the swing of things as fast as you can, rather than just leaving it weeks and weeks on end. Step 6. So as we said, you've got a baseline. You just need to know how you're going to monitor and adjust that, really. Is it your progress pictures? Is it you testing your 1 rep max or your aerobic capacity? Is it how far you've ran? You just need to know where your baseline is and where you started, to be able to monitor if you're progressing. So this is where things like your training diaries come in handy, because you can track and see where you are and where you need to be progressing towards, really. You can use the SAD step if that's useful for you. I think progress pictures and tangible things like your training metrics, so how far you're running, how fast you're running, that sort of stuff, I think that's better indicators of your health than a SAD step, just because it can fluctuate due to hundreds of reasons. So yeah, you just need to be able to know when you're going to monitor and how you're going to adjust that, really. I would say if you're sticking to a plan, stick with the plan for around about 6 to 8 weeks and then retest, rather than retesting throughout all of it, just because you're going to have changes that are occurring, or it's not going to be as reliable. As I said, SAD step is going to fluctuate, and you want to be able to give your program chance to create some of those adaptations. Any changes within muscles and things is going to be 12 weeks plus anyway, so an 8-week mesocycle or 8-week program is good, but if you can do it for 12 weeks, better. You don't want to be chopping and changing your training programs either, because you won't see the adaptations that you want to see either. And again, if you need any support with monitoring adjustments or anything, look to health professionals, look to your personal trainers, your fitness professionals. They'll always be able to monitor what's happening for you. Step 7 would be, I can enjoy it, man. You pick things that you want to do, pick something that you're going to get enjoyment from, not something that you've either been forced into do or Instagram has told you to do. You have to enjoy it, you have to make sure that it's enjoyable for you, because otherwise there's no point in doing it. You also need to remember, there's going to be small milestones, small victories, and you've got to celebrate all of them for yourself. So if there are things that you've achieved that you thought that you wouldn't be able to achieve, even if it's an extra mile or extra steps, or you've maintained drinking water for a whole week, it's those things. Tell your cheerleaders that you've got in your life, tell people that are there to support you, celebrate those things, and talk. So the more you talk positively about yourself and your achievements, the more your body accepts that this is part of your life now. They also keep you on track and keep you motivated as well. So when you are thinking, oh God, I can't be asked to do this, but then you think, oh, well, last week I did 4 workouts, or last week I did 3 workouts, you're then like, oh well, actually I can continue doing this. So they keep you motivated, and it's just nice. It's a good feeling to have, the feeling of accomplishment after you've done some things or you've hit certain milestones. It just serves as you can then track some of the things that's happening. Remember that even if you do have a bad week, as I said, it's not the end of the world. Don't self-sabotage yourself. Don't think to yourself, oh, I've not done it for 2 days, so why should I do it now? The progress that you've made, you can't bottle fitness. It needs to be consistent. So even if you have a day or 2 off, you probably need it, but get back on it as soon as you can. Don't leave it too long, because as I said, you can't bottle fitness. Your fitness or your lifestyle changes, your habits and things, so you'll just revert back to what you were doing previously that you potentially didn't enjoy. Yeah, and again, if you do have a bad week, just reflect on what went wrong, what you could have done differently, what potentially happened, and what you can prevent it. What you can do to prevent it happening in the future. makes you, that then just makes you aware that you are human. No, you will make mistakes, things will happen in your life that mean that you can't do workout or you miss certain nutrition. You have a massive pizza and a big blowout or whatever, like, so what? Like, we all do it, it's natural, but what actually matters is how you then react to that and get back on board with it. So, to reiterate, reflect, define and list your goals, work smart, break them down into process tasks, actually do the thing, monitor and adjust, and enjoy it.